Hey, thank you for coming to my show. I think you'll hear something today that makes you click that like button, share with your people, and subscribe so you don't miss what's next. Let's stay connected. Tell me what you think in the comments. Thank you for joining us here at Our Unseen Roots. I'm Lionel, your host, and today we have Linnea Latimer. How are you today, Linnea?
I'm doing great. It's Linnea Latimer.
Latimer, I apologize.
Yes,
I
no
apologize.
worries. No worries.
Latimer, I'm thinking of a singer or something, or an athlete. I apologize.
Yeah. Oh, Kenny Lattimore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I
Mm.
want you to be related to him. I apologize.
It's more like I don't know if you've seen the movie Norbit.
Yes,
Latimers.
yes, yes.
No relation.
Perfect,
But
perfect.
Linnea Latimer, and I'm doing great today. Today is my birthday.
Happy birthday.
And I'm celebrating with my sisters today. So
Beautiful.
I'm doing wonderful.
Yeah. Well, how I like to start my show is with this question: who are you?
Yes. Um, and that is a complex question because I'm a lot of things. I wear so many different hats. Um, First, I'm a child of God. I'm a servant. I'm a leader, a community activist. I stand up for justice. Um, Anyone that's struggling with finding the words or the courage to, share their words, I'm rudely brave. Um, I'm a sister. I'm an auntie, a godmother, a friend, um, and a daughter. A leader. I am my innate being, just genuine love. I'm love.
I like that answer. I like that answer. What unique perspective do you bring to your job due to your identity as a Black woman?
Sure. So I am a management analyst at the city of Evanston. I've been there for 2 years. Before that, I've worked at, I don't want to give you my full employment history, but significant organizations and institutions in Evanston, starting with Rotary International. I've been there for 5 years. I was at Northwestern University, IT. I've been there for 6 years. And now I am at the city of Evanston, and I am also an adjunct professor at Oakton College.
Hey, go ahead.
So yeah. So as a Black woman, being raised in the community that I am, I'm constantly bringing in unique perspectives. I find myself being either one of few or the only one in most environments that I'm in. So my identity as a Black woman was shaped by my community, really. Growing up in the city of Evanston and having so many examples of what it's like to be a Black woman in Evanston um, has changed my approach to certain things. And that's how I approach my job. So at the city of Evanston as a management analyst, I'm in the community development department. And that generally surrounds that's the building, like the from the ground up. We're talking about zoning, we're talking about housing, we're talking about development, inspections, So what I bring is, as a Black woman, is the experience that I've learned from the community, being shaped by the community. There are certain tasks that comes across my desk, and because of how I was raised and everything that I was exposed to, makes me approach things a lot different. I don't know if you want me to follow through with some examples, but that's, I think, what's unique about me being a Black woman is the community that raised me.
You can say whatever you want to say. This is highlighted.
Okay, good. I
Highlighted.
am going to say whatever I'm going to say. I'm taking
So that sort of brings me to another question. Digital Youth Diva.
Yes,
You're in the advisory board, is that correct?
that's correct.
Correct. So what is Digital Youth Diva?
Yeah, so Digital Diva is like a STEM program that creates different activities and learning opportunities for Black and Brown girls in the community. I was connected to this organization through Nicole Pinkert, And I got involved because I wanted the girls to see that it's okay to be Black in those spaces. When I was getting my educational training in IT, I was always the only Black girl. And it can be an uncomfortable space. And if I had an organization like Digital Divas, I truly believe that I would probably be a lot further in my career than I am. There's a lot of opportunities that I walked out of because I was uncomfortable being the only Black person there. But the sole reason I wanted to represent, being Black and in IT is something that I want to see more of. It shouldn't be, oh, that's rare. Like even at Northwestern IT, out of 300 staff members within Northwestern, 35 of us were Black. And it wasn't until the when the Black Lives Matter movement happened again and George Floyd was murdered, that we all came together to create this safe space for each other, that I realized, I was like, oh, there's a lot of us here, and so that's why I got involved with Digital Diva, because I wanted to be that representation. You can be Black and you can also be interested in technology. That's not odd. So that's the reason why I got involved. And it's still a program that I'm still trying to push today.
What are some of the rewards that you've received or gotten personally from Digital Divas?
I'm a strategist. I like finding solutions to different problems. And to me, that's rewarding. Like when we're faced with, like if a program needs to be streamlined or it needs to be, shared with the community, like how do we do that? I love being a part of a room with other strategists to think, to come up with the best approach. And to me, that's rewarding. Also, I like sharing my knowledge and my experience with the youth. Again, I think when the youth are exposed to different experiences, it creates different opportunities for them. And sometimes you don't necessarily have to go through those same experiences to know what you would do. You can learn from other people. So these are the things that I feel like I bring to the table. Help problem solving, which I enjoy doing. I'm an analyst by nature. I'm always thinking of ways to improve, ways to create, and that's rewarding to me. So that's what I'm getting from the program, is being able to share my knowledge, share my experience, and help strategize. I find joy in that.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
What are some critical needs you see within the Black community that women are uniquely positioned to address?
Most of them are like family oriented. So I'm also on the board of directors for Evanston Grows. And Evanston Grows, started out with a real small group, and it grew into this large community of over 400 volunteers. And I joined the organization because I'm thinking about my mom. And my mom, she's aging, but she loves to garden. And when I was given the opportunity to join the board of directors, I went to visit one of the gardens, and I brought my mom with. And I just loved seeing her face light up when she saw, like all the different produce that was coming from one of our gardens. And this is the one we partnered with Edison Fight for Black Lives on Hartree. And, literally right down the street from my house where I grew up and my mom currently lives. And I immediately started thinking of ways to engage women like her, women that are retired, that are aging, but still like to socialize and find, gardening as a passion. So that's why I joined the organization. And And as far as like the critical need, so many things are changing all of the time. And I think the most notable would be when COVID hit, and there were a lot of families um, that had to choose, like, am I going to bring a healthy meal to my family, or am I going to pay this bill? Like, for example, I remember a really good friend of mine, Rebecca Mendoza, decided to run for school board. And I was, helping her with her campaign. It was brand new for both of us. And we had an event at Family Focus, and I saw a young woman who I grew up with. And I said, hey, we got some food downstairs. Come downstairs and get some food. She was like, I don't have time for that. I have kids. I got dinner on the stove. And, she's naming all these things that are way more important than, food. And a lot of families had to choose, like, what's more important. And I just wanted to eliminate that step for them. So that's, to me, is a critical need, is making sure that families have the necessities, the things that we don't really think about. They're more accessible to those families, and not make it difficult for them to access it. So that's, I think, food security is one thing that's a critical need. And as a Black woman, just having this nurturing spirit, being born with it, helped me to, address those needs as a Black woman.
So where does the produce go that Evanston grow? That's a tongue. Where does the produce go that you grow from Evanston grows? There we go.
We give them away 100%. We do not keep anything. So every Wednesday and Thursday, we have farm stands across the city. The most notable one would be the one at Fleetwood. But there's also a farm stand at Levy Center. And we try to meet people in their space. So we don't want to, have a food stand where people have to get in the car and drive across town just to meet us there and grab a bag of produce. We want them to be able to walk down the street. And at this point, in the growth of our organization, we've never turned anyone away. Let me just say that. And we never will. We do not turn anyone away. So if you happen to pass a food stand and you want to grab a bag of produce and take that home, you are more than welcome. Our goal is to get everything that we produce away to the community, and we hope we reach families that struggle making those decisions between a healthy meal and, paying a bill, like a medical bill or any kind of bill, utilities, rent, student loans, all these things that are constantly coming up. Food should not be a part of that decision-making process. It should be accessible. So we give it all away, keep nothing for ourselves.
Yeah. Are there any plans for like a greenhouse so that you can do this year round?
Yeah, we're constantly growing. We're constantly thinking of new ways to grow. As you know, like in the city of Evanston, space is limited. And we have to start thinking, 10, 15, 20 years into the future. And instead of spanning out, especially in the city of Evanston where land is limited, we have to think about what does it take to grow up. Meaning, like especially with Envision Evanston and all the proposals for zoning changes and the height of the building, is not just, can we reach this height of the building and, stay within the guidelines of the zone, is can we use the material needed to produce some sustainability. And so that's one of the things that we're discussing, the greenhouse, so that we can do it year round. It's absolutely a conversation that we're having. So we have a really good board group. It's very diverse, very diverse. We meet once a month, and we talk about these things. How else can we reach the community need? What type of programming can we create so that the community doesn't necessarily rely on our food stands, but they can produce their own products. So these are conversations that we have every single time we meet, and in the most sincere way.
It's important work, and it's
Yeah,
hard.
it's exciting. and I enjoy it, like, and that's the best part. I feel very lucky to be a part of the organizations that I'm in and to have the jobs that I have, because I get paid to be me. And so it's not work for me. It's something that I'm really passionate about. So,
Yeah, yeah. What are some innovative projects or initiatives led by Black women that inspire you?
um, so many, so many different projects like the Ox come to mind. Um, I love the amazing work that Tasha and Tiffany are doing. They too, product of the Fifth Ward. I'm a product of the Fifth Ward, a product of Family Focus. And it's just encouraging to see finally, in the city of Evanston, that we have a space that's created and designed around our culture. And that to me is it's fun to watch. um how I got involved in the first place was when they were talking about Family Focus, the building, and it'll always be Family Focus, but it's the Dolores Home Wiseman, I think that's the other woman's name, building. But we're talking about 2010 Foster,
Mhm.
and Foster School. And I remember, for some reason, I was in the council chambers when they were having this discussion about what to do with the building. And I saw Miss Holmes in the room. I heard a number of community members speak. I even still to this day have the recording from that, and I listen to it from time to time, because some of the things that were said still encourages me to keep going. But I remember after the meeting, I walked up to Miss Holmes and I said, "How can I help?" And she says, "We're meeting on Tuesday at Family Focus. Give me your email address and I'll send you the information." And that's how I got started. And I never stopped. So I showed up to those meetings and I offered my unique perspective as a strategist, as someone who understands technology, constantly looking to improve different things, processes, whether it's like a business manual change or inserting some kind of tool to automate it. That's the perspective that I had brought, and also my unique perspective as a product of the Fifth Ward, someone who needed that community center to be exactly what it was, to be exactly where it is for the next generation. We shouldn't be the last generation to enjoy it. And so it was, Miss Holmes, Miss Joanne, my mentor, my counselor, who raised me basically, and reminded me every day that I am somebody. And we had to say it every day before we left her class. We had a whole manifesto that we had to say before we left her. I am somebody. And so it was, women like her, um, Miss Simmons, Kimberly, who's constantly making moves and making changes in the city of Evanston. I'm encouraged by all of these women. And so it was that first project with the Fleetwood, I'm sorry, the building, that made me interested, and actually opened my eyes to all the other things that are happening in the community, and which made me decide not to leave. I'm still in the Fifth Ward, not because I have to be in the Fifth Ward, because I want to be here. And I see myself staying here for some time.
Hmm. As a Black woman, what is your greatest superpower?
My greatest superpower, and I was actually thinking about that. I have a lot of superpowers, but my greatest would be that I am versatile. And I was actually having this discussion with my sisters, like when we were all talking about our superpowers. And, I think we all came to a consensus on this one, being versatile, because as Black women, we are able to walk into different spaces and adjust. We're chameleons, and there's nothing wrong with being a chameleon. You walk into a space and, our innate, like, I don't know the word for it, but like, immediately we already recognize, like, this is how we should appear to get the job done. So whether that means I have to change my dialect, and code
Yeah.
switch,
Yeah.
or perhaps, and which is something that I wish we didn't have to do at times. I may change my hairstyle. I may wear makeup one time. I may not. I may wear my rag and my hoop earrings, or I may not. Like just being versatile and being able to walk into a room, getting the job done, but knowing how to relate to other people that are also sitting at the table. And I hate saying this, but making them feel comfortable because we about to get some work done. And versatility is my greatest superpower, even though I have a lot of skills, a lot of superpowers. Being versatile is my greatest.
What resources do you wish were readily available to Black women who wanted to make a difference?
Um, I would like to see um, health opportunities, health resources um, readily and more available for women. There are a lot of fitness centers here in the city of Evanston. There are some gyms that you can belong to, like the YMCA. There's LA Fitness. There's EAC. Those are the major ones. There's Lifetime, and then you walk into those spaces, but it lacks community. And I recently found a space with Black women. It's called Whole Women Fitness. And these are a group of Black women whose sole focus is not just like your physical health, but it's also your mental health as well. And I think mental health is a topic that we're talking about a lot more, but I don't see it growing fast enough. And I would like to see more spaces like that where it's safe for women like me to go in and be myself and be accepted and be encouraged to be made whole. And that includes my physical health. That includes, like my dietary choices, and also mental health, and also spiritual as well. It's not enough to just feed your soul with food, but you also have to feed your spirit. It's kind of like not a prophecy, but kind of like one of those parables where it's like, which one do you feed more? We all are equipped with the soul, and we're also equipped with the spirit, but the one that leads is the one that you feed the most, and how you feed them are completely different. You feed your soul differently because your soul is more your emotions. Your reaction is your emotional reaction is 80,000 times faster than your physical reaction. And if you just take that 1 second, to stop and think, like, is this really how I want to behave? Is this how I want to come across to other people? We'll make better choices. So I think, with our soul, it's all powered by our emotions, but our spirit, like just getting, for me, reading the word, listening to like my spiritual advisors. Going on retreats. It's also very important. Just feeding that spirit side of me, because that's what leads me. And if that part of me is sick, then I'll survive, but not for long.
Yeah. Letitia Waldron is doing some great things over there. She was really excited about that workout space, because it's more than physical, right? Like you were
Yes.
describing it. It's way more than physical. And when we were talking, I got the sense that she's about to blow up.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to tell her that.
Yeah. And she is blowing up, because can I tell you, I've known her for about 3 years, and I'm usually out for a walk every morning between 6 and 7 a.m. in the summer. And then winters, like it'll be 7 to 8 a.m. And I would walk through the park. I would try to put in, like 10,000 steps. So I walk all the way down to Dempster Street and come back towards the 5th Ward. And I saw her in the park, and she stopped me and she says, I want to pray for you. And she prayed for me. And I've never been able to leave that group, those women, since. So we started in the park. She started in the park, I should say. And now look at her now. So she is absolutely blowing up and she's still growing. And it's incredible to watch.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting because I remember listening to her and thinking, I don't really know if she understands what she's about to embark on, but it is
Mhm.
be super successful. And she's got the want to, she's got the drive, she's got the initiative,
Yeah.
she's got the discipline. She's about to. I'm glad I caught her on the way up when no one knew who she was.
Yeah. You discovered her?
Because I would be like, I
Yeah,
discovered
yeah, okay. Yeah, no, we were in the park. We ended up at James Park and then we were at Fleetwood.
her.
And now she has her own space and it's constantly growing. I was there on Thursday. I'm part of the whole, challenge that she has going on. And I was there on Thursday and just it looks different every single time I walk there. So extremely proud of her and all the other women that are partnered with her.
Yes, yes. It's high time women start getting the respect that they're due.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
coming together and doing that it'll happen. It'll definitely happen.
Yeah, we need each other.
Yeah. How can Black men in the community be better allies and partners to the women nourishing the Black community?
Whew. That wasn't a question that's on your list. No. How can Black men? I'm sorry. Repeat the question again.
How can Black men in the community be better allies and partners to the women nourishing the Black community?
Okay, so I'll answer that in an example.
Okay.
So I had the opportunity to join FAM as a coach. And one of my trusted colleagues, Marcel Salas, gave me a call and he's like, hey, would you be interested in helping me, coach this team? And I thought it was sounded exciting. I'm all about anything that sounds fun. I'm on. Like include me. Let's do it. And so we've met a couple of times to strategize how we're going to approach this. And then we also brought in two other Black women who had played basketball at the collegiate level, and then we formed a team. And so these two other Black women that were a part of it, Courtney Williams and Lyric Collins are their names. They, played at the collegiate level, and for in our practices, they would literally get out on the court and play with the team. They're running full court with the team, and there was that lack of respect. And this is something that I had that I talked to Marcel about because, as a woman, I don't know what it's like growing up as a man. And I have my father present, of course. I have my brother, but like what they experience, the emotions that they go through, what they experience, and some things were just innate. And and this was a boys' team. I don't think I mentioned that. So it was the boys' team of FAM, and I noticed that the team, the boys' team, did not give us the same respect that they gave Marcel, who was the only male authority figure on the team. And so what I told him is that in the beginning, it's very important for the man to set that standard and say, hey, these women are here for the same purpose and they deserve the same respect that you give me. And that's something that needed to be said out loud in front of us. We needed to be present when he said it, and he needed to say it out loud and with authority. And it wasn't until then that the team, started to show us the same respect that they gave, the male coach. So I think that's one way men can show support to Black women in the community. Like I have the utmost respect for Black men in our community. And I feel like Black men go through so much more than we do because they get it from everybody. And the last thing I want to be is someone who puts a Black man down. You'll never see me do it. And because they go through so much already, they don't need to get it from me too. But at the same time, I think as far as setting standard and setting precedent, Black men need to speak up and say in front of everybody in us, Black women, I support you. Black women, you do matter. Black women, your thoughts count. Your words matter. Your strategy, your opinions, your creativity, all of that matters because we can't win without you.
And we can't win without you. I mean, it's very interesting as you say that. I'm sitting here taking notes because on my other podcast, I'd like to be more present now. You know, it's 2025. I want to do something a little new, a little different actually, and so I'm going to start doing that. I feel like it is very vital that we stand up for Black women. I asked one of my guests about this same. I asked her another question, and we'll get to that in a minute. But
Sure.
she said, Martha Burns, I need to see Black men more and more. You know, we need to see Black men need to be more present. And I think you're sort of saying the same thing. I was wondering how that worked out for you, because when I saw that he had, I think you guys had a total of 3 women, including yourself as assistant coaches, and I thought, that's dope. That's dope. I wonder what the problems are, and I wonder how they're addressing them. You
Yeah.
know,
Mhm.
yeah. So I'm glad you used that as an example, because being a fan coach myself, I was
Yes.
very interested in how that dynamic worked out. You know,
Mhm.
so
Yeah, and and it was really curious because, like I said in the beginning, I don't know like how boys think. I
mhm,
just, but at some point, and I may be generalizing, I'm not sure, but at some point, we are seen as the weaker
mhm,
sex,
mhm.
and I don't know at one point does men learn that, you know, and truly, it is what it is, but like in this case, where we are genuinely trying to make it to Pancake Day. we
Yeah,
we have to have the same level of respect, and it has to start today, like right now. And so and it really changed, our practices. It changed how we relate to each other, um and it was the best experience that I've had in 2023 and 2024, coaching that team.
yeah. I think it's very important what you said too. He as the male and the coach, he has to set that. He should have set that from day one.
Yes.
I remember when we practiced the game. I'm struggling to remember the team that has the the lady head coach who played college basketball. She had an assistant,
The Pistons.
Pistons,
Yes.
and we practiced with them one day, and our boys thought they were just going to dominate, and because they didn't have enough players. So one of the coaches who played college ball, she had to play for their team, and
Hmm.
we just thought, oh, we were about to dominate. And I told them, I said, look, don't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah.
She can ball. She's going to embarrass you if you don't take care of your business.
Yes.
And so said, so done, right? And so I feel like once I'm getting a taste of being beaten the athletic field,
Yeah.
beaten in the court, or being beaten in the boardroom, things will start changing. You
Yeah.
know, things will start changing.
Can
And
I say something to that? I
yeah,
would like to see us get to the space where we don't have to prove ourselves in order to get respect. Like, for example, the coaches that we had on our team, they should not have had to go out on the court and actually play ball against them, and um, and light them up
yeah,
to
you're right.
get that respect. I would like to see us move towards a space where we all have equal respect, especially if we all have the same objective.
That is 100% correct.
Mhm.
But
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
I enjoy watching. I enjoy watching the women
Sure.
flex, right?
Okay.
Because The reason I say it is because a lot of these young men don't believe, like my mother-in-law would say, fat meat is greasy, right? They don't believe fat meat is greasy. Sometimes fat meat has to show you it's greasy,
Okay.
right? And then
Yeah.
boom, hey, now I gotta respect you.
Right.
You
I
know,
hear
not
you.
respect you. But I agree with you. There needs to be a time when you could just show up and not have to prove yourself. Just know that I know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
You know, I totally agree with you. And I think the more that we as Black men educate our younger Black men, the better that will be, the easier that will be. You know,
Yes.
it's one of the things I work with my two sons is you got to respect Black women. You got to respect women, period.
Yes.
You know, what you don't know, they know, and they know 10 times more, right? And you know, I get sidetracked. I apologize.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I love my Black women. We are amazing, amazing people, amazing beings.
How can we assure that the work that you do will be slow, deep, and irreversible?
How can I ensure?
How can we assure?
How can we assure that the work that I'm doing will be slow, deep,
Slow,
and
yeah, be slow, but deep and irreversible.
and irreversible? We have to start by teaching each other. That's how you can ensure that the work will be done. It's like, for example, I'm going to answer the question with an example.
Please do.
So
it's the case to answer questions.
I'm part of the advisory team for District 65 and their climate action sustainability plan. So we're creating a plan. And, you know, we meet every third Tuesday at the library for about 2 hours, and we have multiple discussions about creating the plan. We're looking at other communities and their plans. And it's very important work, but it won't last if we can't get the youth engaged. And so there are a whole range of generations within this group. And one of the people on my team, they have sub teams. This kid is in 8th grade, and we were talking about some of the challenges that we might have once we release this plan. He goes, well, most kids my age don't really care about this type of stuff. And I was shocked because this whole time I thought we were doing it for them. You know, like it was about preservation and sustainability. And if we can't get the youth engaged and involved, then it won't work. We're just wasting our time. This plan will last maybe 10, 15 years, and then that's it. The next generation won't even pick it up. So what we need to do is, educate and start young, and explain why this type of work is important, and to put some governance behind it. It needs to be a governance, something that will be upheld and adjusted as time goes on. For example, I remember when I was in grade school and we're talking about recycle, resave, reuse, and then they gave us all these little stickers to take home and put on, containers and bottles and products that we should recycle, or things that we can reuse. And that was the campaign. And now there are so many things that have changed since then. Like I recently found out that I'm not supposed to recycle pizza boxes.
Yeah.
When you gonna tell me that? No one's ever said that. Like I'm today years old and I'm just now finding out this whole time I should have never been recycling my pizza box.
Yeah.
Like that. And that's all a part of education. It's also all a part of governance as well. So it's one thing to create a plan, but it's another thing to make sure that it's been adopted by those that matter. And I think it starts very young. So to make sure that the work that we're doing is sustainable and that it lasts, we have to start with the generation that's going to keep this type of work going, make sure that we're updated on the latest, and carry it through. is like if you want to plan the last 100 years and educate type of prophecy. Um, so that's how you get it to last. That's how we can assure that the work we're doing is going to last. Let's start with the younger generation and see what they need. Their needs are so different from my needs when I was growing up. And when I initially got involved, being at the chambers and talking to Miss Holmes and joining sitting at the table with the other community leaders about how do we say family focus, thinking about all of that is I was doing it for me. Like this is what I see for my community. It's a vision that I've always held growing up here. I've always wanted the fifth ward to be a community where we didn't have to go to other wards to have things. For example, a grocery store, a bank, a library, a school, a coffee shop. Where's our coffee shop?
Yeah.
I wanted to just walk down the street, but if I wanted to get some coffee, I literally have to get in my car and drive there. And I've always wanted our community to be, that self-sustaining type of community. And that was my vision. But now, after meeting other people, listening to their stories, watching their work, joining other organizations and looking at their work, and just this vast network of community leaders and all the wonderful, excellent, amazing things that we're doing, I'm starting to notice that it was never about me, and it was always about the next generation and their needs. So now I'm at the point is, how can I create a foundation for them where they have a safe space to create and brainstorm and strategize, on the things that they need. And hopefully they're keeping the next generation in mind as they're making these decisions.
Yeah, it's interesting. You lead me right into my next question.
Okay.
I want you to add a little bit more to this.
Sure.
Some of your hopes and dreams for the Black community, and how do you see yourself as a part of those dreams?
Okay, so hopes and dreams for the Black community. I would like to. I honestly, I feel like at this point, and we're getting better at it. We're doing a really good job supporting each other, and I would like to see that continue. To support each other. But I would also like to see, like, don't just make it exclusive. Like Black women support Black women. Everyone should support Black women, regardless of your race, your culture, your religion. You know what I mean? Like, we're producing a product that's suited for everyone. We're not made differently. We don't bleed differently. We all bleed the same. Air cut me and cut you in the same place, it would be the same outcome of that cut. And I think like some of the products and services that we have, definitely we curated around Black women, because there's never been a space like that for us. But it should be welcome for everyone to join. And that's what I see is like creating spaces, not just for us to enjoy, but for everyone in the community to enjoy. That's my vision. Now, because I explained my vision, like growing up and like being that young child that had to walk a mile and a half home from the library downtown Evanston, or had to walk, 2 miles from Central Street to get home, because all my friends were at that library on Central Street and they get to go down the street and they're home. But me, I have a long walk ahead of me. And like these are things that I'm trying to bring into the community and make sure that the next generation have, immediate access to these things that, that we're paying for it. This is like representation, taxation without representation. We have, these tax levies for the library. There's no library in our community. Why? You know, but again, to answer your question, that was my vision when I wasn't exposed to the things that I'm exposed to now, and I didn't have the relationships that I have now, and now I see the importance of curating spaces for Black people, I should say, not just Black women, Black people. But I would like to also see those spaces open up for everyone to enjoy. And I hope that that makes sense and resonates to whoever's listening to me right now.
Definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
I think there is. I don't know. I hear different things, and I think there may be a plan to bring the library further west to maybe Church and Dodge, or a
Ooh.
faction of the library. You probably know what I'm talking about too.
I've
But
heard rumors too, and I would like to see that rumor actually leave the space. You
yeah,
know, this is something that we've been talking about for a while, and this is actually how I met Tracy, who I think is she's like one of my favorite people.
yeah,
I love her, and because she's so true and real in her words, and don't come at her because she will get, and she's so intelligent about it. You be like, did she just cuss me out?
right. Without using a cuss word.
But that's how I met her, is through the library,
Yeah.
and we were talking about, like, where could the library be that that reached, people who need it the most, I guess. And that's a whole, like, I could talk about the library all day, but I'll tell you what it meant for me. Growing up, it was indeed a safe space. It was a space where if I told my mom, hey, I'm going to the library, she had no worries, no concerns. She knew that I was going to be okay. And then there were like different activities that we can do. It was more than just, and this is the one on Central Street that I used to go to because I graduated from Haven. So it was an easy walk there with a lot of my friends, most of them who were white. And it was more than just books. There were lots of things for us to get into at the library. And so when we're thinking about a library now in 2025 and beyond, let's not bring a space of books. Let's bring a space of resources. Everything else that the library has to offer. So I would love to see a library show up in the Fifth Ward, but I don't want that library to look like the one downtown Evanston or the one at Robert Crown. This should be something that's going to help the next generation grow and give them all the tools they need to create. So I'd love to see it in the Fifth Ward. That's idea. Closer to the west end of Edison, that's definitely idea. But not a building full of books. Let's think about how else the library can serve the community without that.
Coding, maybe some AI stuff. I see what you're saying.
Yes.
And I definitely agree. I definitely agree. Prepare to build our children for the future.
Yes, exactly. Like I said, our needs are different now. How we grew up is totally different from how the young people are growing up. And they actually scare me. I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah.
These young people, they're so smart.
They are a lot smarter than, just my youngest. Some of the things he says baffles me, because I'm like, how do you understand what you just said? And it just seems like it's second nature, right? And
Yeah.
it's impressive. It's impressive. But if we need to continue to water our flowers, with the right knowledge, definitely,
Yes.
because they're brilliant as they are right now, and
That's a really good analogy, like watering flowers, because these flowers, they bloom and then they die. But if you do it right, it'll bloom again. That seed will never have to be replaced. It will keep generating new flowers, and that's a really good analogy, is nurturing and taking care of what's in your care.
Yeah, thank you. It's so true. Who are some of your role models?
My role models?
Yeah, role models, both within and outside the Black community.
Yeah. Well, the first person I thought of is my father, my dad. My dad was a quiet man. He didn't speak He wasn't one of those, outspoken type of people. But when he spoke, it was with love, knowledge, and wisdom. My dad was the wisest man that I know, and he's definitely someone that I aspire to be like. Um, I got my sense of community from my dad. My family migrated here in the 50s from Georgia. My aunt came first, and then she sent word back and was like, "This is the place," And so now here we are in Evanston, and like everyone, we set down roots here. And but we still have our roots, in Georgia, Richland, Georgia. It's a real small town, about 30 minutes southwest of Columbus, Georgia. I don't know if you heard of that, but maybe an hour and a half southwest of Atlanta, Georgia. And twice a year, my dad and I would drive to Georgia for Mother's Day and for Thanksgiving. And when we got there, just being in the car with my dad and then watching him do his thing in the community, because I'm talking about a 14-hour car ride in complete silence. My dad didn't say anything. But I felt his energy and I felt his spirit. And then when I saw him with the community which he grew up in, and just, hey, how can I help? How can I, what can I do to support you? Like, these are the questions that he asked, and people just loved seeing him because they knew that, they was going to get some work done. Jerry was there. My dad's name's Jerry. Um, and he's definitely someone that I aspire to be like when it comes to community, because I am that person, and all I want to do is help. And I don't want to help to say, hey, look at me, this is what I did. I move in silence, and I like to create spaces like that for people when they say, help me think this through. Like, sure, come on over, let's talk about it and see, like where you're headed and everything involved when it comes to strategizing. And and that was, like my dad. I like to see myself like him in that way. Another person that inspires me, I would say Miss Joanne, definitely inspires me. And even, today, like every time she sees me and she smiles, like, and I smiles, because we both know, like where we are now, the work we still have to do, but also where we came from. And it's just like filled with gratitude, um, love, Miss Joanne. And when I think about her, is pure love. And the work that she's doing is so important, because she's teaching life skills, to these Black girls, in ways that others can't. For example, Ms. Johnson, Rose Johnson's an educator, and I forgot how we all got on the topic, but we were talking about, like the importance of having Black teachers, because Black teachers can teach all kids, but white teachers can only teach white kids. And I felt that sentiment, like black teachers can teach everything. And so we really need to, put emphasis on that and study it and explore that a little bit more. Like, is it important to, make sure we have the right amount of Black teachers in our community, and others, but I'm solely focused on Edison. So Miss Rose Johnson, Joanne, my father, and also my sisters. Every single one of my 4 sisters, they're all amazing in their own right. And they, challenge me every day, encourage me. They talk, I was going to cuss. They talk.
I heard you. I was wondering if you gonna say
it builds character. It builds character.
No, but you know what? That is such a beautiful thing, because your peers are very important, because if you guys are really close, that competition, and it's a friendly one, right? Like you all want to push each other, keep each other moving just as long and as far as you can go as as an individual. And 9 times out of 10, your friends can see your potential more so than you can, right?
Yes.
And To
Right.
have that encouragement is just beautiful.
Hmm. Yeah, is and you're absolutely right, because there are times where I'm like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do that. It's like, what? Why not you?
Yeah.
Why not you? Why should it be someone else? Suck it up. Like put on your big girl pants.
Yeah.
Um, you got this. Because I would see a lack in myself, but then my sisters in my community. I can name so many people. I feel extremely blessed to be in the position that I am and have the relationships that I have with so many people. I mean, I could spend at least, 3 to 4 minutes naming women that inspired me, encouraged me, supported me, you know, and some of these Black women in Evanston I've developed close relationships with,
Yeah.
and I feel safe to be around. I am just extremely blessed in that way, and I want to do my best to make sure that I don't disappoint them. You know, like, although I do hold myself accountable, I do it for them too. The work that I do, I also do for them as well. So yeah.
How do you celebrate your achievements and contributions as a Black woman making a difference in the community?
Hmm. Alcohol. No, I'm just kidding.
Sometimes it'll drive you to drink, though.
It's really difficult for me to pat myself on the back. Um, I am grateful for the opportunities that I've had to be a part of some amazing work here in the city of Evanston. Um, and then when it comes down to like naming names and who was part of it, or let's all take a group picture, I'm not in that picture. I was there, but I'm not in that picture. And it's really difficult for me. This is something that I'm working on, to say, hey, I was a part of that. Hey, I did that. But I celebrate it by celebrating others. Um, I never want to solely take responsibility of a project or an initiative. And it always brings me joy when we all can get in a room and say, look what we did, look what we created, you know. So that's how I celebrate myself, is celebrating with others.
Mhm. Yeah, it's beautiful. What does liberation look like for Black women?
Liberation for Black women. Liberation for Black women
Hmm.
is kind of like what I was saying before, like how we can show up in a room and we don't have to prove ourselves. For example, at the, being Black in IT, and then being in spaces where you're the only Black person. For example, and I'm going to answer the question with an example, at Oakton College. And I am in the School of Computer Information Systems. I am the only Black woman a part of this group. And I'm in at the table with um, educators that have 20, 30 years of experience. Imagine me being the youngest in the room. I'm the youngest in the room, but I'm also the only Black person. And then it's, what do you have? What are you bringing to the table? And, like, why do you even deserve a seat at this table? We're in IT. There's no one here like you. And now here you are at the table. Why do you deserve to sit here? And even though those questions wasn't asked directly, I constantly found myself having to say, these are all the certifications I have. These are the degrees that I have. This is the school that I went to. This is the experience that I have in this area. I manage this type of project. I have to go through my resume to justify why I'm sitting at the table where no one else had to do that. And liberation for me and for Black looks like for Black, what liberation looks like for Black women is showing up in those spaces and not having to explain why we're there or how we got there, the same way no one else has to explain it. So, and I would like to see us move towards that, space for Black women. Like, I shouldn't have to. I show up for the most part. You probably only see me with braids,
Yep.
and for a long time, it wasn't accepted.
Mhm.
Whenever, like while I was bouncing through different careers, because I have a background in finance. I was an accountant for about 10, 15 years before I decided I was going to move to IT. Um, and in that space, depending on the organization, you might also be the only. But I remember, showing up those spaces in braids and then being perceived differently, even though I was the same person. And now it's being more accepted. Versatility is our superpower. And that means that I could change my look whenever I want. I might have pink hair tomorrow. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. I might have locks tomorrow. I might wear an afro tomorrow. I might straighten my hair tomorrow. I might have a blonde wig. I don't know. But I should be able to um, be free to make those choices for me and not make those choices to make other people feel comfortable, which is something similar to what I had said earlier. But to me, that's freedom. That's being liberated, showing up as who you are unapologetically and um, and without any explanation, justification. I shouldn't have to do that. And that's freedom to me.
Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the show. Please like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, let's stay connected.